Let me turn to Misty Marris. So, Misty, what were your key takeaways after listening to Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche's press conference?
So Todd Blanche really seemed to be pretty defensive about the way that this was handled, talking about why the DOJ was not able to comport with the deadline, and also referencing many other cases that DOJ has pursued on sex trafficking charges to establish that they do take these seriously. Something I thought was very notable when talking about documents that are redacted or were not disclosed under the exceptions to the Transparency Act. He went out of the way to say none of them are under the exception relating to national security or foreign relations. And many of us had opined that that could potentially be a safe haven to shield documents relating to Donald Trump or other politicians. So again, that narrative of getting out in front of it and saying, hey, the DOJ was not controlled by the White House or anyone else in this disclosure.
Yeah, he certainly was defiant throughout the course of the entire press conference. I guess the question looming over all of this, Misty, is where will this lead? Could there potentially be more charges, more investigations? How do you see what has been released so far? Understanding these are 3 million pages, we're all still working our way through them.
Yeah, we certainly are still working through them. So Todd Blanche today said, as he had said back in the summer, that there was not any information that would lead to new charges in these documents. Of course, that led to the Epstein Transparency Act because it didn't comport with what we knew about Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking operations. It seemed that there should be some co-conspirators who would be identified in these documents. So what I'm looking for is 302 material. These are investigative documents that would memorialize interviews that are conducted with either victims or witnesses. Those will be very, very enlightening. Now, I've been parsing through these documents slowly but surely, seen some 302 materials, heavy redactions there, Kristen, on what I've reviewed so far. But those are the type of documents that I think would be the ones that could potentially identify a co-conspirator that would be subject to charges, provided the statute of limitations hasn't lapsed.
And Misty, Deputy Attorney General Blanche very aptly noted that this release will not end the public's what he called thirst for more information. Where do you see this all going next?
Well, for the Epstein survivors, they feel that they've been very left behind, part of the reason for this law. But I think from a practical standpoint, Blanche said today that they had been over-inclusive in the net of documents that they were reviewing for relevancy, some 6 million documents, but releasing over 3 million. I think there will be questions about why those other documents have not been released from the congressional committees, as well as requirements under the Epstein transparency law to identify why certain documents were held back or why certain redactions were made. So I think there's going to be more questions to answer as everyone continues to parse through this most recent document dump.
Yeah, absolutely. We all still have a lot of work ahead. Misty Marris, thank you so much. We appreciate your joining us on this developing story.